Indeed, we do continue one legend after the next. We just spoke with Jaime Herrin. We've been talking with Oral all morning, and one of the guests of honor today was the 1982 Rookie of the Year, a five-time All-Star, the 1986 Silver Slugger, 14 years in the major leagues, and a two-time World Series champion. Of course, we're talking about Steve Sax. Steve, it is a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you. Thank you for coming by today.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
what a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day for sure. A lot to get to, but you of course were teammates with Fernando Valenzuela forever and ever as well. Your favorite Fernando Valenzuela story?
Oh, yeah. I guess probably the first time I ever met Fernando was in the 1979 Arizona Instructional League down there in Arizona, and Fernando walked in. He had hair down the middle of his back, and he was throwing batting practice. He was hitting the outcut of the grass in front of the plate, and he hit the top of the backstop, and everywhere in between. He found a mean, really, and he was able to get that ball over the plate and throw that unbelievable screwball for years. And Fernando was a bit underrated on the rest of his stuff, I believe, too. And talking to Mike Scioscia, Mike would talk about how his fastball was above average, and he could hit both sides of the plate. He had great control, and he had ice water in his veins. Man, this guy was of the moment. He wanted it. He relished that period where he could go up and make a difference in the game. And like Oral, he was also a very good hitter and a great all-around athlete. And so that's what made him extra special.
What does that screwball look like coming at you?
Well, you know what? Thankfully, I got to play behind him, and I didn't have to face him that much. I only faced him in some batting practices, and I think once when I was with the Yankees in spring training. But that ball, he would just make people look silly. He would throw it almost like a right-handed curveball. He would vary the speeds on it. He would vary the depth of the pitch. Sometimes it would be harder. Sometimes it would be shorter. And it would be a floater sometimes. And sometimes it would be a hard, sharp break. And I just pitied the guys that had to try to hit it. He made them look silly.
Sounds like it breaks your brain. Like, where is this thing coming from?
Not supposed to go that way.
I mean, they're in all the meetings that we had, and it's not like when you walk in the dugout today, it's like a meeting at Google with all the information that's on the desk out there in the dugout. But we had meetings. We had breakdowns of what the pitcher would do. We didn't have video cues, but we had the rest of the stuff, and there's really no way to plan for Fernando. It's just go do the best you can.
Makes them tough, yeah.
Yeah. 14-year major leaguer Steve Sax joining us right here. Of course, Steve, you were teammates with Oral in 1988 and that great run that you guys had on that team. And I've been lucky enough to hear Oral tell the story a few times about that 88 run. And we've talked a million times about Kirk Gibson and the home run, and I'll never get tired of hearing those stories. But when you think about that entire run, playing the Mets in the NLCS, a team that had just absolutely killed you guys during the regular season, and then you go into the NLCS, you guys win that in 7 games. Kirk Gibson hits the home run. Just take me through your recollections of what that 1988 postseason was like.
Well, without boring people and taking too much time, I'll try to encapsulate it the best I can. We started out, we were picked 4th in our division that year. We weren't even supposed to be close to winning it. Kirk Gibson comes along, gets ticked off in spring training. He doesn't like this kidding around stuff with the eye black and blah, 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 blah. And, fast forward, our team got better, a little bit better. And I think a real turning point of the season was when Kirk Gibson actually went from the Grinch that stole Christmas to really developing the mantra of our team. Was we would scream out when we'd win, "What a blanking team." This is a family show. I'm not going to say the word.
Yeah.
But, Oral, you remember it very well.
Oh, yeah.
When Kirk Gibson was the one that was having fun and creating the banter in the clubhouse, saying, "What a blanking team!" And he was, of course, copying Tommy Lasorda that said it after one of our victories. And so that became the mantra of our team. And, I mean, if you go into the playoffs against the Mets, they destroyed us 10 of 11 during the season. One game was washed out. Mike Scioscia hits the big home run off of Gooden in Game 5. Oral comes out of the bullpen like Superman the night after he pitched, and he closes them down. And I'm not just saying it because he's beside me, but that year that he pitched superseded almost anything that I've seen in baseball. Sure. 59 2/3, and doing what he did, selflessly coming out of the bullpen to get a victory in the playoffs.
Okay, enough of that.
And closing it out.
Wait. How does that make you feel hearing him gush about you?
It's crazy.
It's funny watching.
We've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like it. It's the absolute
Steve,
truth.
what is it like knowing that you have a teammate? And obviously, baseball, you kind of go as your pitching goes. When the pitching's good, you're in every game.
Correct.
But you had a guy that, he's not going to give up a run tonight.
Well, look at our team. I mean, we didn't have exactly the most prolific offensive prowess coming up to bat. We had guys that could do the job, but it was all about pitching and defense for us. And we knew that every time he pitched, for sure, that we had a chance to win every single time. And
the second part of that is
amazing.
pitching and defense, right? Defense, because I only averaged like 6 or 7 strikeouts a game in that streak. And during the season, even in the World Series and against the Mets. So you had to have people behind you that you trusted, that you could, with a sinking ball pitcher, that these are going to pick up the ground ball. Saxy had amazing range. He could get to stuff. He and Alfredo could turn two. Alfredo got hurt midseason, and Dave Anderson comes and fills in at shortstop and does an amazing job.
He did.
Sometimes you have Pedro Guerrero third. Sometimes you have, Tracy Woodson. Sometimes
Dave Hamilton was a great defensive player, though. He made a good job. But Oral's right. We got stronger up the middle when we got Alfredo and John Shelby in center field.
Exactly.
That made us better. They made everybody else around our infield better. Those guys did. And
you have to.
So in '83, when I had that throwing issue for 2 months, that kind of got me astigmatism and kind of followed me around. But
throwing issue.
Yeah, but I got over that.
Yeah.
And so when I went to the American League, I led the league in fielding at my position.
Nah.
But but it wasn't because of me. It was because I had guys around me that were good. In L.A., I had Alfredo. We had Shelby in center field catching everything. I had Don Mattingly at first base in New York, and Espinosa at shortstop was remarkable. Everything he caught was out. So it's about your team, and I can only say this, when you look at teamwork and how valuable that is, just imagine if you're a boxer or a swimmer or a skater, you don't get to share that, but just with yourself. But when you're on a team, you get to share that with everybody. You go through the good and bad of everybody. You know their families. You know how much they're trying. You see them work, and you're grateful when they come out of it. And it's about bringing everybody else along. That's what real leadership and teamwork's about. And that's what makes this team great.
When I heard you were coming on, I kept telling Travis, is he the run through home plate guy?
Yep.
Were you the sprint through home plate guy?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Well, I had a jet in my ass most of the time. And I think that was kind of most of it. When I walked, I would run to first base. I did it when I was in Little League. And the reason I did this is not because of Pete Rose. The reason I've always done that is because I was going to try to steal second base. Like every time I got on, if the situation was right, I was going. And so I didn't want to get at first base and try to warm up then. I could have a chance to run down there and get ready.
So it was functional. You're warming up to steal.
Absolutely.
That makes. What about home plate though?
I just wanted to get there really quick, and then I'll worry about slowing down after I get past there. But I needed to score a run.
I like that. Yes.
Steve, you mentioned that you were a base stealer. You had over 400 steals in your career, 444, and you had a career high of 56 in 1983. Obviously, the rules have been changed now with the amount of pickoffs, bigger bases, et cetera, et cetera. Do you like that the steal is back in the game? Then they changed the rules to do it. And with these rules, how many could you have gotten?
You can only throw over twice. If you throw over the third time, you got to pick them off.
Right.
I get it. I don't know. You got to get on first.
Sure.
Okay, that's the most important thing. Is you can't steal first base. But I do like the fact that the steal is back in. I mean, everybody loves speed in one form or another. On defensive, making a great play, first baseman going down the first base line, catching it over his shoulder, making a sprint to do that, or, stealing a base, scoring from first on a ball in the corner. Speed is very exciting, and stolen base is a big part of that. So, yes, I'm very glad that's coming back.
How can you, as somebody that stole bases, over 50 in a season, reconcile that there's a man that's out there that can hit 50 home runs and steal 50
and strike you out?
And but that's a whole other category. What is that?
This guy is like he's once in a generation player. There's no doubt, and maybe more generations than that. I've never seen anything like Shohei Ohtani, and he can just do everything. I hope he comes back, and even if we get 4 to 5 years of pitching and hitting, and he's like a meteor that may go out then because it's a lot of stress on that arm. I'd rather see that than to kind of like have him prod along and do what he can. I want to see him go full speed for the next 5 years, and hopefully we get that out of him. And it's just a pleasure to watch him. He's amazing.
Dodger legend Steve Sax joining us here at Legends Attic in Claremont. So as a kid that grew up in Los Angeles, and at the age that I am, my first recollections of Dodger baseball as a Dodger fan was that infield of Ron Cey, Bill Russell, Davey Lopes, and Steve Garvey. Set the record. They were together seemingly forever. And this was my introduction to baseball. I thought that's just how it went. That you had a team, and it was just the same team year after year after year. And then Steve Sax shows up and replaces Davey Lopes. And as a 10-year-old, it's like, wait, what? What do you mean he's not going to be here? How can they possibly do this? What's it like? And you very quickly made an impact, win Rookie of the Year, and everybody's like, okay, we're cool. We're good to go. But what's it like trying to step into the shoes of somebody that had been there forever, like Davey Lopes?
Well, it's a pretty daunting task, number one, but the great thing was I was in an organization that was phenomenal. These guys knew how to win. I came up in 81, so I got a good idea of what it takes to be a professional. And guys like Steve Garvey and Dusty Baker and these guys really showed you how to do that. And even Davey Lopes, I mean, he knew I was going to be the next guy up.
Sure.
But he would have me out there sometimes before games. I remember in San Francisco he did this when he was out there early and I was there. And he'd say, come on, I'm going to show you what I do on stealing base and how to shift my hips. Instead of just turning and standing up, we're going to shift our whole core of our body at the same time, and it'll save you a step. And just doing things like that. A real professional, a guy that knew that I was probably going to be the one to take his job, but he was still helping me get there quicker, which I'll never forget it. And the professionals that we had on the team were amazing for me, and never forget that. It was just it was a great thing.
Big respect. I think my favorite shaped athlete is Ron Cey.
Yeah.
The Penguin.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Penguin had about 4% body fat, didn't he? Yep. He did.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Fire plug.
One big muscle.
One muscle, that's right.
So you win the World Series in 1988 with the Dodgers, and the next season you're on the New York Yankees. And again, as a Dodger fan, I'm biased to be sure, but I think if you just ask a baseball fan, the two most iconic franchises in baseball are the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
Those are the two. You played for both. What's the biggest difference between the Dodgers and the Yankees?
Can I preempt this for a second? So, just so people know, I grew up in Sacramento, in the Sacramento area, on a farm, and we didn't have any money. But we had a great family, and we still do. And we only had two posters up in our household, and the two posters were from a bubblegum company that had these posters that they were giving out, and we had these in our kitchen. And the two posters, one was Willie Mays and one was Willie McCovey.
Giant fans.
Giant. So we grew up avid Giants fans. And so when I was growing up, I hated the LA Dodgers. I thought they were the luckiest team. Oh, that's Steve Garvey. I hate that guy. He's so lucky. He gets every break, whatever. And so I remember when I was 8 years old watching the Dodgers and Giants play game of the week, and I remember telling my dad, I said, Dad, if the Dodgers, because I want to be a ball player since I was that tall, and I said, if the Dodgers and Giants if the Dodgers ever drafted me, I wouldn't play for the LA Dodgers for $1 million, right? And so that was me in 1968 at 8 years old. So 10 years later, when the Dodgers drafted me out of high school, it took $985,000 less for me to sign with the LA Dodgers. So the scout comes to the house, and I remember telling my brother and my dad, I said, nothing less than $1 million. Nothing less than $1 million. Scout walks in. He says, Mr. Sax, young man, you were the 9th round pick of the Dodgers, so we are here to offer you $15,000 and not a nickel more. And I said, okay, sure. That was it. I was on my way.
Wow.
So that's how that was a little bit of the groundwork. But playing with the Yankees, it was phenomenal. I mean, the proximity with the crowd at the stadium were so close you could hear everything they were saying. They are very knowledgeable people.
Yeah,
I remember I was getting up to bat one time and there was 2 nuns sitting right behind the on-deck circle, and they said, "Oh, geez, look, he missed a belt loop." I mean, you could hear everything they say, and so it was good, knowledgeable, and one time I was playing catch with Mattingly before a game, right at the start of the season. We're playing quick catch, right? And some guys over there on the side, you say, "Yo, Sax, throw me a ball."
Stallone?
Throw me.
Throw me a ball.
I knew what that meant, I guess, later on. And so I'm playing quick catch. I say, "Hey, I can't do it right now." And he went into a tirade. Oh, I can't believe we got you instead of Randolph. You're terrible. Your mama. You're all this, you know. And I stopped. I looked at him, and this was an 8-year-old little leaguer telling me this. Yeah.
Get out of town.
Had a mustache like Geraldo Rivera.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it. 8 years old. So that's kind of what it was like.
That's
But I enjoyed playing there. We weren't any good, but we had fun.
So how did somebody in L.A. ask you for a ball?
Well, they scream it at you. Yeah.
Yo, dude.
His question was, what's the difference between New York?
Yeah, I don't have one for that yet. I got to make something up.
Cool. Right on. Right on.
Got to be huge.
Steve Sax, Rookie of the Year, Silver Slugger, and 14 years in the major leagues, and, of course, a 2-time World Series champion. Steve, it's a real pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank
much.
you for having
really
me.
Enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You're exactly what I thought you would be.
Can I surprise you with one thing?
Yeah, please.
Thanks, buddy.
There's going to be live art going on here by Dave Holbrick, and who's over here doing live art right now. It's something but we're going to have one special thing that Dave came up with an idea. We're throwing baseballs into a painting today.
Oh,
you,
nice.
me, and Steve Garvey are throwing into Holbrick's paintings.
Wow.
And then he's going to create the art around the splash of our ball going through the canvas.
Nice.
Wow.
It's going to be interesting.
Okay.
I can't wait to
Throw the
see that.
change up.
I hit it.
Hey, we're not going to go back to the thing, right? We're going to
No.
We're going to hit it.
We're going to hit the center of the thing. Is
Let me
that what
tell
you guys called it at the time? The
yeah,
thing?
Yeah, several times I've thrown out the first pitch, and I throw a strike every time. I'm back. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
You're back. You're
60.
back.
I'm in my 60s, but it was okay.
Steve, thank you.
Yeah,
Real
thanks for
pleasure.
having me,
It was
guys.
real pleasure.
Thank you.
Steve Garvey still set to join us right here from Legends Attic in Glendora. More to get to at Travis DeMarco.